So ladies and gentlemen, our next session that is titled From Training to Learning, a deep dive into how we are transforming traditional training methodologies into dynamic immersive learning experiences using AR, VR and cutting-edge digital tools. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted to introduce our distinguished speaker, Captain Chinna Ruparaju from IMTC, a true training expert. Captain Ruparaju is a renowned integrated advanced digital technology maritime learning specialist, ensuring that our seafarers not only acquire skills but also embrace continuous learning in a rapidly evolving industry. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Captain Chinna Ruparaju on stage. Can we have a round of applause for sir?
Thank you. Captain Shaukat and his team, guests of honor, fellow speakers, esteemed colleagues from the industry, and my young friends in the room, a very good morning to all of you. I've consciously refrained from preparing a presentation for today. I don't want people to be, asking me for copies of it later while sleeping during my speech. Sorry, just kidding on that. But what I'm looking at, I'm hoping to lead this through with a lot of questions, and I hope you will indulge me by, maybe coming up with counter questions or posing, submitting answers of your own. So, the title of my presentation was given as the transition from training to learning. It somehow got morphed into training and the word several times. So what I'm looking at is the transition in the seafaring industry from a training-oriented approach to a learning-oriented approach. And I don't claim credit for this. I think it's been going around for several years. A lot of seniors who are probably better versed at this than me. But I'd like to ask a question. Who can tell me what's the difference between training and learning? Any of my young friends in the room? Do we have some mics? Can we pass around? What's the difference between training and learning?
Very good morning, sir. My name is Yogi Raj. I'm from IMT. So if you ask me about training, it's something provided by someone. It's some teachings provided to us. And when it comes to learning, it can be a self-learning also. We are learning things for ourselves, for our development.
Excellent. So yes, training is given, learning is taken.
Yeah.
So we are directly transferring ownership of the process from somebody who gives to somebody who receives. And that's the whole point. Now, one more side question. Anybody else? Thank you. What's the Sanskrit word for training and learning? Don't open Google. Sorry, anyone? No? Vidya is education? Shiksha. Correct. That's the correct word. Shiksha. And strangely enough, the same word stands for both training as well as learning. My question is, were our forefathers trying to tell us something? Where did we get lost along the way? It has always been learner-oriented, learner-centric approach in India. Somewhere along the path, we digressed away. And perhaps it's time for a correction and return to our roots, right? So with that, I'll talk about a bit about traditional training approach that we've seen in the industry. We've had any position on board, we take as an example, they probably start with a bit of time in a pre-C school, then they go on board to complete some practical experience, and they come back, perhaps go back to MMD for some kind of exams and get a certificate of competency or a certificate of proficiency, and then they are ready to work on board. So they report with that COC or COP to the company, and the first thing they are told is that, very good, congratulations, we have seen your certificate. Now it is our belief that you do not know anything, so this is our training matrix. Go and complete more training, and at the end of it, now we believe you know everything, you don't need our support anymore, and we expect 100% performance from you. I am, of course, being a little sarcastic. Not all companies do this extreme thing, but yes, that's the general philosophy that we are looking at, which has been working okay, but I think it's not achieving the kind of foolproof results that you want. So what can we do? And then, of course, the second half of the approach or the philosophy, where we talk about a learning approach. And the transition needs to happen from, in the mindset, from where we treat everybody as equal versus do we know, are we trying to measure whether there are any gaps in learning and then address them. So how do we go about it? Of course, we have things like e-learning platform, we have Seagull, we have Ocean Learning, we have Carco, we have quite a few solutions which are, I must say, quite good, but they probably, with due apologies, falling a little short of where we want to be. Does our average seafarer open Google for a quick answer to a question, or does he or she open the company's LMS software application to look for solutions? And that's where I think we are, as an industry, falling short. And because the content is probably too formal and too structured, and it takes a long time, and probably they don't get answers for specific to the questions asked. Instead, they have to read through pages of content before they arrive, they find what they're looking for. And that's why they're probably going to ChatGPT or Google. So what can we do? Well, at Williamson, we have recently, in a project, I can't say recently, it's been about 2 years, where we are coming up, in fact, we have already launched, and I'm not here to talk about Williamson, but just a quick about the philosophy. The platform that we have is compulsorily restricted to content which cannot be longer than, say, 15 minutes, and about 70% of our content is less than 7 to 8 minutes long. And there is a social media element which is introduced. So you can have like, comment, share options, TikTok style. And people are commenting, talking to each other. It's been 6 months since we've launched. And we've seen the energy is phenomenal. And probably that's the way to go. But is that adequate? So one more question. What's the best way to learn about Microsoft Excel? How many of you attended formal courses? Who thinks he or she is good at Microsoft Excel? Again, my young audience. So how do you learn about Microsoft Excel? Do you go into ChatGPT or YouTube videos? Correct. So we don't need formal training on a subject like this. Obviously, we all been, even including myself, we've helped ourselves by tools available. About Excel, who can tell me what's the maximum number of decimals that your Excel sheet can handle? Anybody? Were you aware there's a limit? Surprisingly, it can handle a maximum of 15 decimals. Anything more than that, Excel sheet will round it up. And your answers are no longer accurate. See, that's where the concept of a guru comes in. It's 99% of your knowledge about Excel could be learned by the person himself or herself by watching YouTube videos, searching through Google, etc. But you need the guru to point you in the right direction, what questions to ask. That's what that's the part of the transition necessary on the part of the mentors or the trainers, that instead of dishing out and throwing knowledge like a flood at the seafarers, we probably should transition to asking the right questions. In fact, guru is a Sanskrit word. It does not mean a teacher. The two syllables ga and ra, they stand for two different, very specific things. Ga stands for darkness or ignorance in this case. Ra stands for somebody who removes it. So it's the job of a guru to remove the blinds from the eyes of the students so that they can see for themselves. And that's where we need to have the transition on both sides of the spectrum. So in addition to all of these, me and my team at IMTC are, of course, embarking on a lot of projects internally, which we don't talk about. We are crunching data all the time. We are collecting. Now, remember, if you have to crunch data, you have to have digitized the past data. So how long ago, how many years of data have you accumulated is the big question. If you have a lot of it, then the answers are likely to be more accurate at the end of it. Of course, I'm willing to and happy to exchange notes on these subjects at any time. Thank you very much for your patience, and I'm grateful to Shaukat for the opportunity.
Sir, I request you to please wait. Thank you so much, sir. Well, I request Captain Shaukat Mukherjee, along with Captain Arun Mehta, MD OSM Thom, to felicitate our speaker on stage. Can I invite you on stage, sir? May I request Mr. Devesh Gautam to please come up on stage to felicitate, sir.